Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Tale of Four Heresy Gamers. No guest this month. It's just the four of us. Hello. Thanks for making it, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. So, as always in this episode, we're going to have a look at what we've been playing and some progress. We've all got a bit of progress, some more than others. And then at the end of the episode, we will go through everyone's community submissions. People have been sending their own progress in on the Patreon. There's a lot of progress in that we've got some really big photos full of models coming through now. So it looks like people are really starting to get an army together, which is quite nice. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do. We'll look at our progress, your progress, and then we'll chat a bit about the game. So yeah, let's start. Hi, everybody. Right, so yeah, I guess this is feeling more and more like we have a format, isn't it? Like it's like doing a podcast. Like we start off with this, and then we talk about that. It feels very structured. I feel like we're very professional YouTubers now.
We know what we're doing. We totally know what we're doing.
Because we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Has anyone? So look, I mean, the first thing I was going to ask is, has anyone played any games? Because I've played one game last night. And I don't think it's been summer, right? No one's actually got any games in.
I watched you play that game for the first turn. Does that count? That doesn't count, right?
I'm not sure watching people play games counts.
No, that's all I've done.
One of the things I wanted to, I've just realised that sitting on the desk next to me is this token set that I got with the Age of Darkness thing when it first got released. With its like fancy reaction cards and fancy tokens and all that. I have not even remembered to bring these to a game yet.
And one of the games was at your house.
Yeah, and I forgot to go into this room and get them. Yeah, I'm not sure how you use these reaction coins and all that. It makes no sense. Lovely, but
oh dear.
So yeah, in that case, I'll just waffle on then about the one game I played. So we played this little game last night. You were there watching, Russ. 1250 points. Nathan, who was on a couple of episodes ago, has finally finished his Emperor's Children, or at least he's got 1250 points of Emperor's Children. They're going to be Emperor's Children.
I need to butt in. You say finally finished his 1250 points.
Yeah, that's the wrong word.
As if somehow like he's behind the rest of us.
Yeah, he's very, very far ahead of the rest of us. He's done well. I mean, having said that, 1250 points. It was like 20 Tartaros Terminators and a Praetor and 2 Dreadnoughts.
Yeah.
He was telling us about his the color scheme looks amazing. They look really good. So we played a little game of Shatter Strike. I was a bit. I think he was quite worried going in because we rolled up lengthways. We had to walk across the whole board to get into my deployment zone, and then I was quite worried because I realised my word bearers don't have any AP2. So I managed to dig out the famous ancient Mara Gal Dreadnought. That's the rogue trader one, who did a little bit of damage. He was a bit scary. But otherwise, yeah, it was a fun little game. And it was lost by the Emperor's Children when some breachers actually made really good use of las cutters. The only time that's ever happened, I think. But yeah, no one else has played anything. No,
unfortunately not.
I have got my Raven Guard.
Oh yeah,
out and sorted them out so I could potentially play a game. They're not. There's some bits need super gluing back together, and it's not like fully painted. But everything's got base coats, so I could potentially play. I think I worked out up to about 1,500 points.
Yeah, that's all right.
And I've dug all my spare bits out the loft, and I could actually probably get them in a playable state a lot quicker than my Alpha Legion, but that wouldn't really work for the channel quite as well.
Well, that's been my distraction this month. Has been me getting my word bearers again, like bits have fallen, like the last few times we played, like bits have fallen off, bits aren't finished, and I did a load of that. So I'll get to that in my why I haven't got as much hobby progress as I thought I would section. But yeah, cool. What the other thing I wanted to bring up, which I think probably people are realizing now, we should probably all set some deadlines. Because otherwise we're just going to be building this forever, and it won't be much of a what's the word? An encouraging blog if there's no point at which we're going to have an army.
Important deadlines needed.
Yeah. So what do people think about this? The first thing I was going to suggest is 1,000 points for November, and we play Zone Mortalis.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Everyone,
Yeah, it definitely sounds doable.
Then I'll have a half term towards the end of October where I can actually get everything at least. Yeah, that works.
Like a week of a bit more time to paint. And it's October. October half term, you can't do anything anyway because it's just rainy.
Yeah, exactly. My wife's at work, so just sit upstairs and
get your. Okay, cool. So that's the first deadline. So everyone playing along. If this scene sounds about right, we're going to go for Zone Mortalis 1,000 points by end of November, by November's update, which is 2 months from now, and then 2,000 points February, and I will try and find a point where I can book some tables for some games at Warhammer World.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at Warhammer World this weekend. It's Golden Demon. It's not the sort of thing I would usually go to, being not particularly much of a display painter. But they're making it into more of an event this year, and they've got this thing where people can kit bash. They've got 1 day, it's like a hobby challenge. You have 1 day to kit bash and then paint something. You get a model when you go in, and then you can use loads of sprues to add to it. And I've been invited to go and join in that. So despite not being, I'm not like a display painter, but I guess all of my models are converted in some way, so that makes some sort of sense. So me and a few others are all going to go there. So when we're there, one of my missions for the weekend is to find booking slots and get us some tables. But that means if everyone's up for it, that means another 1,000 points in 3 months. But I think it's like an easy 1,000 points, right? Because it'd be all the base. We'll all be painting our infantry for like Zone Mortalis. Yeah, is that what everyone's doing?
Yeah.
And so the second 1,000 points will just be tanks and odds and ends.
Tanks and stuff, big stuff.
Yeah, which
more robots.
Or robots for you, Russ. Yes.
From a few games that I've seen, people posting pictures on Twitter and such, seems like a lot of people are playing with a lot of tanks. So I'm feeling a bit odd that I've got a very infantry heavy force, but we'll see if I can sneak some vehicles in.
I mean, that's how I remember Heresy being played. Like it's usually it was 3,000 point games, and almost 2,000 points of it would be Lords of War and tanks. Yeah,
I think obviously the big scary thing in this edition, from what everyone's saying, is dreadnoughts. So I think people are stocking up on dreadnoughts rather than vehicles. I think there's a bit of a downer on vehicles because they can be occasionally prone to being one-shotted.
Yeah. And are you doing any dreadnoughts, Russ? Because you've got a Contemptor, right?
I have a Contemptor. I don't think it'll be in my first 2,000 points, to be honest. I think I'm at 1,000 points now. Well, I'm at 1,250 now if I use the Scouts and the Vigilator, but the Vigilator probably won't go in my overall list. Next will be Thalax and Castellax to get me up to 2,000 points. And then I do want to go beyond that because I want to chuck in a Thanatar.
Yeah.
Up to probably 2,500 points.
You might get a Contemptor in right at the end or something.
So at some point, I mean, I've got the Contemptor. Nothing against using it. It's not high on my priority list at the moment.
I'm not obviously doing dreadnoughts because White Scars. I know they get dreadnoughts now, but it doesn't really fit my army. Bobbie, I know you've got some. You've been painting it. We've seen some of your dreadnought progress. Gary, you've got. Yeah. Is it 3 Contemptors you have?
Yeah, I've got 2 of the old one-piece Sister of the Talons of the Emperor box one.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 of those and 1 that came in the Age of Darkness.
Cool. That's a Talon.
I think I'll buy some of the weapon sprues and magnetize. It should work out good.
Yeah, so there will be a fair few dreadnoughts plodding around. Yeah, that is the big thing. Nathan had 2 last night, and they are horrible. Like all the things you'd expect to work on them, don't work on them, and you can't ping off like 6 hits to kill a dreadnought with a big weapon.
You desperately need brutal is one of the things.
Brutal, but what's surprising is things like Exoshock don't work. Ooh.
These hammers work though.
Are they brutal hammers?
They are, yeah. So, I mean, I still think I'm going to struggle against dreadnoughts. I think dreadnoughts compared to automata are still better. but I've got some things I can do to try and deal with dreadnoughts at least.
Well, the things
We'll
with
see.
lots of shots, I guess.
Yeah, that's. I'm hoping that I don't come up against too many dreadnoughts at 1,000 points.
Yeah. Well, Zone Mortalis is a good place for them, though. But yeah, we'll that's the whole thing. So yeah, okay, that'll be our deadline. If everyone's up for that, we're going to try and do. Try and book in. Maybe we'll go to the local. We'll go to Hate Club maybe and see if we can do Zone Mortalis in November, or maybe we do another
on the fancy table.
Maybe do Warhammer World Necromunda tables or something. And then the big one I will try and book when I'm up this weekend for February. We have a 2,000 point army.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, great. So let's move on to progress, because there's loads of images in our show document here. There's absolutely tons. So why don't we start with Russ? Yeah, how have you been doing? You've got tons of models built.
Yeah, but I feel like most of what I've got done, I feel like I already had it done last time. So I'm trying to work it out. I think I had the 5 scouts done last time.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
And then since then, I've basically been doing my second tactical squad. So they're like the first one. I've tried to convert quite a lot of them. Anything from relatively simple kit bashes to some simple conversions to some green stuff work again.
I like the weird armor mark bits. I like the guy has Mark 6, but like a Mark 3 shin.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I think I said this last time. It's meant to be sort of, they nicked themselves a little Mark 6 power armor and started wearing it.
Yeah.
But then gradually bits of it got broken and they didn't have any spares. So they've had to patch up their current Mark 6 armor with their older leftovers from their old armor that they stopped wearing. Is the vibe what I'm trying to do. So yeah, I've got the guy with extended Mark 3 legs. That was quite a lot of work. I'm hoping it looks all right once painted. Another guy with the studs in his leg. I like the way that looks. I might even try and do some more of them legs in future, but they take a fair while just to do one leg, so I can't do loads and loads of them. But yeah, I'm really happy with the way that squad looks. I think they look as if, they're wearing Mark 6 armor, but they're not like fresh off the assembly line,
Yeah.
And the sergeant for them, I sculpted I think we spoke about it last time. I think you showed the image of the Rogue Trader Renegade sat at the bar from the old rule book. And so I've got the one guy that I have done since the last time, but I haven't put a photo on here. So people can look on my Instagram if they want to see it. But I used a Assault and Black Reach captain's head on my other sergeant to make him look as much as possible like the guy with kill written down the side of his power fist. But then this one with the sword and power dagger, he's meant to look like the one who's wearing red armor. So he has got in the photo he's got a bandana. So I took a Blood Angel's head and I've managed to sculpt bandana between fronds of hair. I was literally sculpting with the head of a pin. So a bit silly, but yeah, I'm really pleased with how they look, and I think now though I've got the rather daunting job of painting them, but I'm going to do them very bright and got to order I need to order these soon. Actually, I need to order some oils and get some white spirits and some of the makeup. I don't know what makeup applicators. That's the thing. Yeah. And I did myself a second apothecary. So both my tactical squads for Zone Mortalis will have an apothecary.
Okay.
So last time I showed the one where I slightly extended his greaves. This one is just made out of the body of a Mark 6 armor with some
apothecary bits on.
Other bits put on. And that's about it, to be honest. Yeah, like I said, the only other thing I've done is sort out my Raven Guard. I haven't really done any work on them, just sorted them out.
But that brings you up to, does that bring you up to 1,000 points, 1,250 points built?
That brings me up to 1,250 points built. So the Scouts and the Vigilator I won't probably use in Zone Mortalis because they've got what are they called? Nemesis bolters.
Mm-hmm.
So the Zone Mortalis force will be the 2 tactical squads with an apothecary each, my Indomitus Terminators that I showed last time, my Forge Lord, who I haven't bothered to show because I've just built him completely stock from, as they come. One very minor modification actually of swapping some of the limbs around in his servo harness. And what else? Oh, and the two big robots. So it should be, fairly stompy for Zone Mortalis without being outright unfair. I think the two robots should be pretty awesome in Zone Mortalis. The Terminator is obviously a design for Zone Mortalis, but the two tac squads should be able to achieve something as well. So hopefully not just embarrass myself every time I play, which is, entirely possible.
Great. That all looks good. Brilliant. Well, great. So that's like a decent amount of progress. You're at a point where you're now like ready to start painting and things. Bobbie, you have been doing loads.
Well, I have and I haven't. I've been kind of in this mood where I don't want to paint. I've just not had the want to pick up a brush at all, which has been slowing things down, obviously. I've done a little bit more work on Fafnir, mostly tidying him up because I'd made a base for him and I'd painted him, but I hadn't stuck the two bits together. So he was just rolling around in the box.
No.
Unprotected, so quite a lot of him, the paint hadn't been sealed, so it was just rubbing off, which is not ideal. So I've now actually stuck him to his base and painted his base, and had a little experiment with some weathering powders just to dirty up the base and dirty his shins up. They're not going to be filthy, but just a little bit of blending of the dirt up into the miniature. Something I'm experimenting with. It's not really a technique I've used a lot before.
Okay.
But mostly I've been building. I've just been sticking lots of bits together. I've got a unit of 5 Huskals, who are the legendary unit for the Imperial Fists. They're like Regal Dawn's bodyguard, but they do bodyguard other important characters in the stories. They're mostly built. I haven't put the heads or the shoulder pads on them because I'm going to paint them separately. So I get they're going to be mostly black armor with just a few spots of yellow. That kind of all the elite units in Heresy seem to wear black.
Yes.
I don't know what it is that you got your Sons of Horus, just Aaron, all black.
Because it's
Avon Kessig is all black. Well, yeah, if you're in that big cataphracty plate, you need to look a little slim.
Is that the weird thing there is that the Raven Guard fancy super sneaky ones are the ones that have the most white armor, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's very odd. They're getting there. The other thing I've been fighting with is my 3D printer, which is a bit of a Hellforge beast, and I still haven't got the hang of it. But I have managed to get a few bits out of it recently, including the backpack for my Siege Master. Who is looking pretty chunky. I made the backpack scaled to his Mark 6 backpack. The backpacks on those consoles that come in the Age of Darkness box are huge. They're like the biggest backpacks any Space Marines had. So I scaled up a Mark 3 pack that I drew up. So he has this absolutely enormous power pack on him, but is about ready to paint. I just need to sort out. He's got Phosphex bombs, so I want to stick some Phosphex bombs on him just so you can. So I remember to use them more than anything. Yeah. It's if I have the visual thing of these little glowing green grenades on his back, I'm actually going to remember to throw them occasionally.
Yeah. That's how. Yeah.
His power mace, is that like a power axe with the end chopped off and then an orky bit put on the end?
No, it's just the power mace from the Chaos Havocs kit. I very slightly de-chaosified it, but I wanted him to have this big, very brutal.
Brutal enough to be orky.
Yeah, I've got like a bit of a background story for him. He's one of the few characters. I don't normally do much background for my armies, but he's definitely an old Terran warrior who's been smashing down fortresses for hundreds and hundreds of years at this point. And now he's very grumpy that he's got to defend the fortress rather than smash one down.
And you've been printing rhino, so you have actually started
all sorts of bits,
right?
Yes, I've got one rhino, which is going to be mostly for my Templar brethren. I did these old school style Rhino exhausts, kind of based on
lovely.
the original Rhino exhaust, just to make it look even more like that Rhino. I like doing the conversions, and I like personalizing even something as basic as a Rhino.
I might have to. I really like those. I might have to steal the STL for that for when I do my White Scars vehicles.
I mean, it took me not that long to actually design those parts. They're quite simple. So yeah, I'm sure I can pass it along. I've also built a Predator tank, or mostly built. It's got a few bits that I need to sort out, like the turret hatch. I always leave those till last, putting commanders in and things. Again, that's got the 3D printed exhaust. I've fully magnetized the weapons on it as well.
Oh wow!
So,
Bobbie, just one thing. Didn't you review that Rhino kit on your on Sprue review channel?
I have reviewed the Rhino and now the Predator kit as well. So that went up quite recently.
I'll put a card in that appears just up here because we've been really bad at plugging everyone's stuff. Russ has managed to get Bobbie's channel and his own Instagram in so far on this one recording. Well done.
I'm normally the one that's plugging stuff, so I'm fine with other people plugging, especially if they're plugging me. So yeah, I magnetized both the turret gun, which was a real pain.
Yeah.
It's horrible. It was not well designed for it. And I've actually converted a couple of extra weapons, so I've got a plasma destructor and a conversion beamer for it. I think I'm going to use either of them, but it was fun doing the conversions. And I've magnetized the Sponson guns as well. And I've also been designing more 3D prints. Imperial fists can take assault cannons on anything that can take a heavy flamer. You can replace with an assault cannon, essentially. So I've got these for the Predator. I've got to now design an assault cannon for like a commander, because you could put that onto a Rhino, because you can put a heavy flamer on a Rhino.
Like a pintle assault cannon.
Yeah, a pintle-mounted assault cannon, which seems like a very Rogue Trader 2nd edition-y thing to be doing. But
yeah, brilliant.
And sort of late edition today, we're trying to get towards actually doing Zone Mortalis. I've actually built my first Phalanx Warder, which is my core troops. I need 20 of these before I can play my army, and this is my first one.
But this is
I've got thousands of points. I think I've got a couple of thousand points now built, but
unusable.
I can't actually play my army at all. Yeah, it's working back to front as I always do.
These are a Rogue Trader style or 2nd edition style power axes that you have remade in 3D.
I've done a few different styles from 2nd edition and some slightly more new off ones, just because I didn't want like all 20 guys to have the same axe. That seemed a little bit boring. So I did what the power of doing the 3D prints and designs, if you're designing it yourself, just changing the axe head is really easy. You just draw a new shape, and it's really, really simple. It's just, for me, like the design part is really easy. It's getting good prints that don't look all warped and horrible. But I'm getting there. I'm learning it slowly, and once I get there, who knows? I'll just be printing whole armies eventually.
New career, Bobbie, I think.
Well, it would be nice to make some money off of it, but I think I would have to start doing my own designs. I'm definitely not someone who wants to profit off of other people's hard design work, because that is the hard part, is doing the designs.
But really nice, really lovely. You're zooming ahead with progress. Gary, what have you been up to? Now, we've both got distracted a bit. So do you want to first say, like, you've got distracted by more squats, right?
Yeah. So so it's summer holidays have sort of kicked in a little bit, and then I went back to the squats. I made the brute. It was like, as I was saying last time, I'm going to do something fun after doing the scouts, and I thought the squat brute would take me like 1 or 2 days, and it ended up taking like a week and a half.
This is mostly because of the head, right?
Yeah, I had like 5 attempts to do the head. It just kept setting wrong, or it'd be about right, and then one of the heads would drift around and turn as the resin set. and then frosting was a major issue. And but I got a really good result in the end. I'm really pleased with the way that came out.
Mm.
It looks really good. That.
And then I didn't want to do trips after that still, so I went to the boss, the Space Wolf boss, and I'm really happy with how she's come out. I did a lot of green stuff hair, the same as Russ. It's a nightmare.
Green stuffing bananas, right?
No. So I quite like the fur on the Praetor. So the base is the Praetor model, like the Terminator, the Forge World Praetor, Terminator. The one you bought me when we went to Warhammer World. But yeah, I removed his face with a Dremel, and I put in a Stormcast. And I had to really carefully trim away his beard because that's actually sculpted onto the front, and it overlaps his tooth necklace, like his wolf tooth necklace. So carefully trim that, but try and leave some, of the good details there. And then, yeah, she's looking great. I'm really happy with how she's come out. I still don't want to do trips. I want to go back and do more squats. I do have a good reason, because we are going to an event.
We are going to an event. We're going to go to, what is it, the SumpCon?
Yeah, SumpCon 2.
Yeah.
Which is run by Sump City Radio.
Yeah. So we're going to be up there with the Hate Gang. It means that I suddenly have to remember how to play modern Necromunda. So we're going to do some practice games next week. That's next a week on Saturday.
All right.
And you're taking your squats, and I'm taking enforcers, Arbites. Which means we need to learn how Necromunda works again, how those two weird teams work again, and how Ash Wastes works.
Yeah, so you're going to be bringing a repressor.
Yeah, that's the idea. I'm going to bring a repressor and a small squad of arbiters. And I've decided there's a few. Like a year or two ago, we did a silent war where I took my arbiter sort of Inquisitor's retinue, and I built a walking robot for them to be like a RoboCop Ed 209 sort of thing. So I'm going to take that as an iron automata, which is basically the Necromunda's way of using the UR-25, the Blackstone Fortress robot in Necromunda.
Okay,
Yeah.
But I will be getting back on the Space Wolves when we get back. I mean, I've got 2 weeks till SumpCon.
Yeah.
So I won't need all of that to build a rock grinder. I'm going to build a rock grinder, squat rock grinder.
Mm-hmm.
This weekend is finally the Space Wolf shoulder pads and helmets get released. So that was kind of my bottleneck, to sort of mental bottleneck more than anything, to building the troops. I reckon in a week or so I'll start building those, and my next update should have loads of troops.
Great. Brilliant. Well, there we go. Well, I mean, my progress is kind of tied into yours, because, suddenly learning Necromunda. I also got a bit distracted. So first, I should say, I have made some progress. So I've got all the things I showed last time. Almost all of them are now base colors painted. There's absolutely no shading on any of these models. They're just like, that's why the white looks so solid and white. It is actually there is a bit of shading to the white. The photo hasn't come out that well. It's they're undershaded in bone. They're all basically at the point now where the next thing I do is oil wash them and then base them, which will bring all those colors together. We'll stop them looking a bit too much like a 5-year-old's painted them. But they've all been done. They're all ready to go, except for the Pathfinders, which are the ones I'm painting grey with the classic camouflage scheme from the Forge World books, which I tried to do with my airbrush when I was doing the rest, and then realized that there's no way it's going to be small and delicate enough. I'm going to have to paint that pattern with a brush, which is a bit annoying.
Oh, poor Ian.
I know. I hate painting with brushes. So they're all ready to go. I then redid the Praetor. So this is the Forge World Cataphracti White Scars Praetor. I'm thinking that because I quite like the idea of getting a load of Terminators and doing like an Eben Keshig, like a Sag Yarmazan army, I've converted him up to carry, for his sword to be a like glaive, obviously giving him Volkite, because why wouldn't you do that? Converting that sword to be a glaive meant like carving away a good half of that massive shoulder pad he's got and having to resculpt it and reposition it because it's quite a different position. But that's done. And then I assembled 5 Ebon Keshig and started spraying them black and white.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is your Praetor going to have a thumb on his left hand?
Good point.
I think the thumb's like tucked right under. He's doing like that sort of pose. Yeah.
Is that what he's doing?
It's just doing that.
I think so. Yeah.
Just don't punch anyone like that. That's the problem.
Maybe
he's bird perched on him.
One
He's
thing
doing that kind of falconry pose.
Is he a Chaos Mutant? Is his thumb on the wrong side of his hand, or is it just no thumb at all?
The one thing I realised was that I've obviously missed the. I've definitely lost. I think there's meant to be a part that goes on his belt. There's like a belt buckle.
Yeah, his belt buckle. Yeah.
I don't know where that's gone. That's gone.
It's in the Tombow.
I think I might use one of those. You know the bikes. The old biker sets from the 90s had little metal shields that went on the bikes. I might use one of those there. Little tiny round bucklers that they put on the bikes.
Oh yeah. I think you know.
I might put some of those in there. But yeah, he's done. He's made Ebon Keshig are assembled, and they've all been base coloured. So there's loads of progress. And I'm kind of at the point now where I'm like, maybe I'll just keep painting things up to that level, and then all at once I'll do a big weekend of all the oil washing and basing, do that all at once. But yeah, so I'll just keep going. I think, I've painted him black because he's part of the Magyar Mazan. I'm kind of like it. Like we were just saying about the black. I like the variation. I might just do all my Terminators like that.
Mm.
And Gary was mentioning alternate tank schemes. I might put the camo schemes on the tanks as well, so the tanks are camoed.
Mm.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. I'm sure mentally, I remember there being this old Highland Griffin, maybe the very first Highland Griffin army in White Dwarf, and all the tanks were tan.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if I'm remembering it wrong, because I couldn't find the photos online. But yeah, I'm gonna completely steal that and have tan tanks.
Yeah, that match your base rims or something. Match the base.
Yeah, with whatever planet they're on is, they've sent the appropriate tanks.
Cloaks of the scouts. Yeah. So yeah, the thing I got distracted by was obviously these aren't going to be ready for a while. So I really have spent a bit of time on my word bearers. I built them all originally. They were basically a spare parts army, right? They were built out of Anvil Industry medieval legs, various sorts of torso and Mark IV bits, and then I used Max Mini Steam Knight heads, which are lovely and really nice. But I was getting a bit annoyed with them because when you get the Max Mini Steam Knight heads, there's 5 different designs, and so they looked really bitty. Like every squad has a different head. It looked a bit odd. So one thing I've been meaning to do for ages was pull a load of them off, not all of them. Keep a couple of designs dotted throughout the army, and then replace the rest with Mark IV heads to just make them look a bit more Heresy-ish. So I finally got around to that. I did that, and then I ripped them all off their just ballast bases and used one of my. I make a lot of resin bases. I can plug that. I've got a tutorial on making your own resin bases, but I make my own resin bases, hand poured resin bases, and I've got a trench set, so I put them all on custom trench bases. I think makes them look quite gritty and justifies them, and just makes them look a lot better, really. So yeah, I did a proper weekend of just making the word bearers up to scratch, and I've got a few more left. I finally assembled a Praetor for them out of that Age of Darkness Praetor. So at least that gives me something to play with. That'll give me a couple of 1,000 points of word bearers to play with. So yeah, that's what distracted me. But I think I'm on track. I think if I spent the rest of the next coming month building more models and getting them to base level, and then before November just do a colossal session of oil painting, oil washing, then I'd have most of I'd be at the point of doing bikes and vehicles for the next 3 months. Yeah. All good. I think all progress really. So it's time for what is, I think, now our favourite bit of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's favourite bit of this, which is community updates. Just because it's nice seeing what people have done. We have about 20, so we've got fewer than we've had before. But that's all right. I know that this update is only 3 weeks after the last one because we were a bit late recording last time. But a lot of these have a lot of models in. So shall we start the community updates? So first up is Ben, who's been doing White Scars. I think we recommended him some grey bases last time, grey ash bases.
Yeah.
And he's got a lot of progress. Says he might add some rocks to it at some point, and wants to add. I think Librarian Imperium is slated for next month, isn't it? So he wants to add Sisters of Silence once that's out.
Oh, okay.
Which is something we were talking about, wasn't it, Gary?
Well, yeah. So I do have Sisters of Silence from the Talons box, and I saw a really nice squad on Instagram. And then it brought back the memory of the silent room in the Black Library book. Yeah. So I'm thinking I want to add a squad and maybe their big sexy tank thing that they've got that looks like a worm from Dune or something on the front.
That's nice.
Yeah, the Charon Inquisitor
nice.
is the prettiest tank in the game.
Yeah, so I quite want one of those.
Would you do them gold? Are they meant to be gold, or are they just metallic? Can they be gold? Can they be silver? I think they look really good in a sort of bronzy color.
The guy I saw on Instagram painted him a really sort of dirty black silver, and it looked great. So
right,
I'm going to steal that.
Yeah, it's lovely, really nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So next up we have Tom. Tom is doing Alpha Legion. Has built the entirety of the Age of Darkness box. Build the entire box first and then started painting. Added some...
Very brave move.
Huh?
It's a very brave move
know,
to have all the models built before you start painting.
That can be intimidating.
Like a few people, he's using the Green Stuff World color shift paints.
Yep.
And sculpting, I think, on scales around various bits of them as well.
Yeah,
that Terminator looks very cool.
Yeah. It looks like something's gouged the pads as well. It looks like something's clawed at his shoulder pad there as well.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? It's a nice little effect.
Yeah, it's nice.
And I think that's a mix of contrast medium, cobalt blue color shift, and a Kalian green, which is the paint everyone loves, right? Zotek green.
Yeah, it's really good.
Macariel is back. Got some white scars painted, and including a classic color scheme, a classic camouflage color scheme that I recognize from either Rogue Trader or the Bad Ab War.
That's Mantis Warriors, that is.
Of course, because Mantis Warriors are White Scar's successors.
Oh, I've done them.
That's the same logic as I used on my recon. So yeah, that I approve that very much.
That's lovely.
I've done them. I've painted models like that. Now I want to. Oh, I absolutely love that. That's just one of my favourite schemes ever for 40k.
The little clumps of bush yellow and black camo. It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got a squad of 10 of them in a 40k Mantis Warriors army. I did.
Yeah. And I think then building.
Now I'm jealous that they've done it. He's done it with the fancy new Mark 6 models, whereas mine was all old ones. Or that is the new ones, isn't it?
Yeah, that is the new ones. Yeah. You can't tell because of the camouflage.
Yeah.
And see, building some Dawn Eagle jet bikes as well there, plastic ones, which is, to be fair, probably a cheaper way of doing it than buying scimitars, isn't it? Do it all with plastic Custodes jet bikes, and then I think the leader goes on a fancy Forge World Shamshir. Yeah. Very clever. In number 4 here is Matt and his Alpha Legion. Last month he showed us an unpainted recon squad, and they are now painted and hanging out in a Zone Mortalis, it looks like.
Yeah. It's
Ready
not a really good Alpha Legion colour, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's the new Into the Dark Space Hulk, isn't it?
Is it? Is that the one you just got?
Yes. It's that new terrain. So he's managed to paint up a bunch of terrain as well, which is good work in a short time.
Yeah, that only came out a few weeks ago.
Got those submarine doors, they're very cool.
Yeah. Simon. So Simon is. This is where I said people are really getting on now. Simon's only update was I have 1,000 points painted. Imperial fists on some cobbled bases or brick bases. 1,000 points done, painted, ready to go.
And it looks like he's been very disciplined, and he's got 40 infantry He's
Yes,
done
it
the
is. That-
infantry first.
Well, it's two. It looks like 2 tactical squads, and then 4 support squads of mix of like heavy
Yeah.
weapons and
There's
support
a heavy
weapons,
bolter
which
squad.
is about what I would do. That's enough heavy weapons for an Imperial Fist
Yeah.
force.
Good. You've got the Imperial Fist player approval there from Bobbie.
Is that rotor cannons at the back?
I think
Looks
it's
like it.
rotor cannons, missile launchers, and heavy bolters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Is that 10
disciplined
rotor
to the infantry. Well done.
Did the rotor cannons get the benefit from the fists? Do they count as bolters?
Yeah, they count as auto weapons, which Imperial Fist is auto weapons and bolt weapons. They get the
Oh
pluses to
dear,
it.
that's
Yeah.
a lot of. Yeah.
And rotor cannons are a lot more fun now. So yeah.
Yeah, the pinning can be quite useful, to say the least.
Neil has done some word bearers. Another productive month, he says, which is good because he got married or he's getting married in October. So congratulations.
Right.
He's made some despoilers and some Terminators. Despoilers are tactical squads with bolt pistols and chainswords.
2 bolt pistols
Yes.
as well. Lovely.
Bolt
Yeah.
pistol and chainsword, and that's the Calth Chaplain, and then some Terminators. Yeah, looking good. They actually are looking really nice, aren't they? Are those like, have they got books on the ground?
Yeah, it looks like
Yeah.
they've got that kind of disposed of literature on the bases.
Bit of book burning going on.
The library setting for your games. Moving on to Adam. Adam has been doing Blood Angels. Now we've got a few. I think a lot of people have been painting Zephon. So Adam's
Great model.
buckled down on Heresy Blood Angels this month. Mark III Destroyer Squad. Jump packs are 3D printed, and their dual pistols are from the Khorne Berserker kit, a brilliant source of pistols. And then a Tartaros Terminator Squad. And Dominion Zephon himself. Who I'm never quite sure of the pose on this Dominion Zephon model. He looks like it looks good on the box art, and then he looks like he's always looking too far down on the model. But again, maybe that's the photo.
I think it's one of these models that looks really odd in photos, but it looks really impressive in person.
Yeah, it's a Blood
it's
Angels
something
theme, isn't it?
about
Because
it being-
Sanguinius is like that.
It's that thing of being compressed to 2 dimensions. It loses all of its energy, whereas in person, it's quite a dynamic miniature.
Yeah, yeah, they're looking great though. I like the really flat red.
Yeah, and the glowies on the power weapons look very cool as well.
Yeah. Kieran has been doing Iron Warriors. 2 squads ready for the 211th Garrison Company, who are embracing malice. So one is, oh, that's clever. So it's Tyrant Siege Terminators, which are the ones where everyone has a cyclone. But kit bashed using the new tank accessory sprue. I missed that. I didn't realize there was one.
It's the Havoc launcher on the from the Rhino kit.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, the one that the hatch sprue that comes in absolutely everything in the range. Yeah,
You know what, though? It works, doesn't it?
Really.
it's just about the right size. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. And then a second squad of regular Cataphractii. So just 10 Terminators to bulk out a good Iron Warriors unit. Very good. And then we have more
You
Iron
can't go
Warriors
wrong.
after that. Jack has moved on to the big stuff, the stuff we're all delaying. But yeah, Spartan and 2 Leviathans. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
2
Very
shooter
eye-watering.
Leviathans as well. The Grav Flux and the Storm Cannon arrays. That's a lot of firepower.
Yeah. I like the chevrons on the Leviathans painted round the curve.
Yeah, that's tricky.
Yeah.
Actually works really, really well. Yeah.
I think of all the chapters, they deserve Leviathans the most. Like, that's a lot of Iron Within and lots of Iron Within.
There's a lot of Iron Warriors. Like, I think they're popular because the backstory's actually really, Heresy backstory's really good. They're I guess, right, they've got this nice thing to do with the painting where the base of them is relatively easy, and then you get to spend time on a couple of complicated bits. So you're spending
Yeah.
time on chevrons and special bits, but the actual base colour's like, yeah, silver.
I think so. I've listened to some of the Heresy Hammer videos as well, and they've said exactly the same thing a few times. That's the thing, that it's easy to get them done enough, and then everything you do from then is just like icing on the cake.
Yeah.
And so it's just actually fun to paint for that reason.
Right.
Yeah.
Work on your weathering and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Lovely. Stuart has been doing Dark Angels, so he's got some more progress from last month with 2 Praetors, Marduk Cedras, who's the special character, a Contemptor and a Land Raider, all done. So he's getting better at painting black armor, and did some non-metallic metal on the blades, which are really nice. I'm actually really impressed by the checkerboards.
Yeah.
One of my least favourite things to paint checkerboards.
It's my favourite thing to paint, but it takes bloody ages.
Owner of a Lamenter's army there, Russ.
Yeah.
Yeah, both the checkerboards and the blades look some very nice freehand work overall.
2 Lamenter's armies.
Arsa, over in Finland, I'm going to say, I think. Arsa, they have been painting Emperor's Children as a commission for a friend. I think last time we saw their World Eaters Praetors, which I assume is their own army. And then, this is a really nice army. It feels like it's kind of a matte purple, which is very different to Nathan's we saw earlier. But I really like it. I really like really matte colours. And yeah,
I've seen a few of these over on Twitter, and even in close-ups, they look very nice.
They do, don't they? They're really, really nice. I like the running Contemptor pose is lovely. And is that Eidolon leading them? Maybe looks like the Eidolon model with a weapon swap.
Looks like it's got the sword from the new Praetor, because it's got that slotted bit in the center.
Yeah. Maybe it's swappable, because so you can be Eidolon or a Praetor. Maybe it's just the Emperor's Children Praetor. I don't know. No, it's in. I don't know. Anyway, it all looks very good. They all look lovely. So I'd be interested to see what they come up with next month. I don't know. I assume these are now done and back to World Eaters, but who knows? But that leads us on to a new entrant into Tale of Four or More Heresy Gamers.
I'm excited about this one. I'm excited about this.
I know, me too. Because it's bringing up so many things we've been talking about, right? Jenny has been doing Imperial Militia. Working on an Imperialized militia project for a little while. This will be Loyalist militia focused on infantry and heavy artillery. And if I win, I win, and if I lose, I get stomped by Marines, just like in the fluff. So I really like this. I used the whole of Heresy 1, I mostly played militia. And I went to lots of events with like a massive, like 3,000 points of militia. Like you'd be bringing 15 tanks and 100 people. And what generally tended to happen, I always quite enjoyed it, because people would look at it with their Marine army and go, "Oh God, that's terrifying. How am I going to kill that?" And then when the game starts, basically they'd just be mowing them down. They had no chance at all. I think every event I went to, I had the same amount of wins as losses. So I was like, right, everyone's
not bad with militia.
Yeah, and it would be like, 100 guys, 2 Malcadors, 4 Leman Russ, 2 artillery, and 2 Baneblades.
2 Baneblades.
Yeah. And you'd be like, that's your army. And actually, most Heresy Marine armies at 3,000 points could take that out. So it's one of those things where it's just a lot of fun once people get into it, and they're like, as long as you don't mind all your guys being mowed down by bolters.
I'm just looking at this. Even this force is a lot of models. Is only 300 points. Yeah. It's a scary amount of models, and they look very, very nice.
Back in Heresy 1, I didn't play a lot of Heresy 1. I played a little bit with my Raven Guard, and I did take part in one campaign. I think it was like 6 games or 7 games, maybe at Hate. And I was using my old Anvil Industry miniatures to use a elite militia list, and even then they got stomped. And I think what I really like there is the I figure if I win, I win, and if I lose, I get stomped by Marines, just like in the fluff. And that was the thing, that all of the games I played, with one exception of someone who got very, very gamey and was moving like 8 inches with 6-inch movement models, but everyone was very much enjoying the game, knowing they were going to win, and I was just looking for the little victories. I played a game against what do you call them? Literally, the name's got on my head. Sisters of Silence and the big golden boys. What are the golden boys called?
Talons of the Emperor.
And Yeah, I managed to wipe out one of the squads of custodies, and I'm like, I don't care about winning. I've killed a squad of custodies, and actually, I did run that. I ran that game fairly close, and on the back of a few leaderships, could have even actually managed to win a single game. But same thing with Space Wolves. Tom Catsey from over at Hobby Support Group. He was playing Space Wolves, and yeah, I literally was like, I don't care if I win. I know I'm not going to win, but that squad of Terminators is going down. And in the end, I think actually one of them survived the game, and I was like, you know what? It was so much fun just trying to kill a single squad. I think I lost like 12 victory points to 1, but it's still fun if you have the right approach with militia.
Also, good getting another plug in there. Hobby Support Group. Listen to Hobby Support Group wherever you find your podcasts.
Yeah, and I'm not plugging it just because I was a guest star on it like last week. Not at all. That's not why I did it.
I also want to say I feel like Jenny knows exactly what she's doing because movement trays.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, so I used to play Grots back in like 5th and 6th edition.
Yeah.
And yeah, movement trays are mandatory when you've got squads of 30.
Yes.
Just,
I'm actually thinking, so I at some point recently I bought, when we were doing Siege of Vrax as a campaign, I built a not Krieg army out of Anvil Industry Trenchcoat Guard. And I'm totally planning to give them a few new banners and use them in this version as like word bearers, support troops and things like that. Be quite fun. You could even build some more squats, Gary. Have a squat allies.
I really hope the militia list make allowance in the way they did in the previous Heresy 1, was the ability to run certain types of lists, like Rhino riding Imperial army and squats and all that sort of thing. Was my favorite thing about the militia list, that it just gave you license to be like, hey, I'm doing this.
And it's not going to be in the upcoming, apparently not going to be in the upcoming Librarian book, which is Talons and Solar Auxilia. But I would therefore guess it's probably going to go to Legacies, and I'll be interested to see if they just do what they did in 40k, which is just release a load of data sheets, or whether they give us the army building stuff as well.
I think from what I've heard, people are thinking that it's going to be a PDF initially, but that eventually in the long run there might be they might actually do a proper release instead of just a Legends release. Also, I mean, I'm hoping for that, because otherwise it's going to be a long time to wait without a Legends release, but it'd be something better in the long run.
The other thing that I think would be probably a good idea would be releasing something when the new Imperial Guard book for 40k comes out, because you've got a double use there for all the kits, haven't you? So having something come out then would be clever.
But for the late Heresy, the traitors really want that Lost in the Damned field, don't they? So they will need some sort of militia list.
Yeah,
definitely.
So loads to talk about there. Thank you for that, Jenny. They look brilliant. Also should say, I'm sure everyone's noticed, if you don't know, they're based on Wargames Atlantic's Les Grognards, which are like sci-fi Napoleonic Imperial Guard.
Yeah.
Davide has submitted some more Dark Angels. Mostly work in progress. Just got to 2,000 points. So Davide's been sorted, isn't he? For next, you've done as far as Tale of Four Gamers goes. Built some Knights Cenobium, who are like the cool Inner Circle Knights in the Heresy, using the 40k Dark Angels Knights kit, which looks good. Bits from them. And then same. Everyone's saying this when Library Imperium come out. I've got a Custodes army as well. Yeah, he's going to get some Custodes done. Who knows? So that's all good. Tobias is doing Salamanders, finished the basing for all the infantry, primed them, painted the Terminators, and did some freehand flames on them, which is cool. And then got some of the special units like Pyroclast and Fire Drakes to give the armor some flavour. So, and I think has the same plan as the rest of us, which is finish infantry first.
Yeah, I was going to say, been good. Got all the infantry built first.
I really like the white shoulder pad on Salamanders.
Yeah.
Look, nice. So Yale over at Studio Guerry has been building World Eater armies. Now, we saw a few things for this last month, but planning a new list from scratch for an event in January. I assume not our event in February. No, that would, yes. This is a Spearhead World Eater list with loads of vehicles, late Heresy scheme, which late Heresy World Eaters are the dirty white and red. And because they got blood all over their blue, but not weirdly over their white. And they've converted and painted their Praetor, which is the Emperor's Champion, who looks great.
That's not the first time I've seen that model used, is it?
Yeah, we
saw some last
Night
week.
Lords last month. And I'm following that guy on Instagram actually. Yeah.
Yeah, this looks really
that's
cool.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It does look like it's got a phosphorus grenade as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Won't forget to use it.
Yeah, they
Is that
look
an Imperial?
lovely.
Bobbie, is that an Imperial Fist's head hanging from that chain?
Yeah, it does. But it also looks like there's 1,000 Suns head as well,
I
and
think
an
that's
Ultra.
an Emperor's
So this
Children
guy's
head.
just been murdering everyone.
Yeah, it's really good. I like the two. The inspiration and the update are lovely. Yeah,
I
beautiful.
really like the grungy rhinos as well. They definitely look like they're being used to cart around a lot of murderers and not being cleaned a lot.
Yeah, I like it. I like them. They're really, really nice. They're really nicely done.
He sent the model that he spoke about, the original inspiration as well.
Yeah, original conversion.
I like the evolution.
Yeah, it's nice. Really good that. Beautiful. So then we have our regular Chide is back with his wibbly wobbly salamanders, and we have some units. It says still trying to find out where tabletop standard is for this army. I'd love to know how long it takes to paint these, because I have a sneaky feeling it's either really long or really quick. Yeah, they're really nice.
Yeah.
I also went past tabletop standard some time ago.
Yeah.
The Weber armies are great.
I also one thing I really like is that they've painted the helmetless one using the traditional salamanders have dark skin thing rather than the salamanders are glowing red-eyed coal demons thing.
Yeah,
which I much prefer. I think that's really nice.
Yeah, I find the actual like grey-black skin, it just looks unusual.
Yeah,
to a point of not making sense.
It was a weird choice, Games Workshop.
Yeah.
Lewis has also been doing Imperial Fist. So many Imperial Fist players. Real life got in the way of starting on time, but they've been following. They've joined in late. And yeah, just building away at some Mark 6s and assembling a Leviathan on a rock.
Yeah.
And your lore video, Ian, it says the notes say that it's his 4th to 9th models that he's ever built or painted. So there you go, dragging people into the hobby. So basically, is he allowed to send you the invoice for all of the plastic crap?
I'm really sorry, Lewis.
You're basically a pusher,
I
aren't you?
apologise to your wallet. But thank you, that's lovely to hear.
Such an early model, that Leviathan on that really nice diorama base. That's absolutely mega impressive.
Yeah. Also, that Leviathan it's not an easy model to build if you're not used to building models.
No.
William, now we're going to do the other end here. William has been building his Death Guard and is also at 2,000 points already. We're giving these people too much time.
Yeah.
Going to try and reach 3,000, which is, to be fair, a proper size army by adding Spartans and Land Raiders. But yeah, this is of course this is because William's painting for the Goonhammer Horus Heresy event at the end of October.
Everyone loves a deadline, Ian.
Yeah. Looking good, though. Again, you can really see the difference just the weathering does on those, can't you?
Yeah.
David had a load of Alpha Legion updates last time, and there's even more this time. 13 more. So this is the whole army. He's up to 46 models. Most of this is rhinos and dreadnoughts. Squishing a Custodes dreadnought. Great. Yeah, so they're looking great. I kind of like the red as a spot color on these, like the red gun barrels.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And it points out how incredibly poseable that Contemptor is. Bobbie, have you built yours?
Yes, it's sat in front of me. It needs to be painted still, but yeah, it's a really great kit. I mean, it's just as poseable as the resin ones, but a bit. It's a lot more mold lines to scrape, but I think it's worth it just for working in plastic rather than resin.
Oh, you know what? Another thing that who was that? That David mentioned. He snuck in a Rogue Trader Librarian, I've just zoomed in on that, and it is the one I thought it was. That's one of my favourite Rogue Trader models. Probably the best Rogue
I've just seen
Trader
that.
Librarian, and that's the Librarian that I've got in my Raven Guard army.
Yeah.
And it is it's one of those sculpts that jumps out at you, and not every single sculpt from back in the 80s was good. Let's not pretend they were, but that's one of the ones where you really see how, you know, even though everything was a bit more limited in the posing you could do because of the way that everything was cast, people could still make some really impressive models, and that was one of them.
Yeah, it's a lovely, lovely model. That I remember that from my very, very
Yeah.
early day. Dave has some Space Wolves. Again, we always comment on how nice these are. Nice flat Space Wolves, pale grey, dry brushed. I think it looks like dry brushed. And then made use, I think, of the Forge World transfers. The really nice little runic Forge World transfers. So been doing some tactical squads. 2 tactical squads finished.
Also, I like that. Is that that's the sergeant, isn't it? Yeah, the sergeant looks really good.
Yeah. Pink eyes is quite nice, isn't it?
I like it. It works, and it matches the sort of purpley, bluey purple on the plasma pistol as well.
Yeah. Yep, those are really
somehow
nice.
the pink in the eyes goes with the sort of pinky purple on the plasma pistol.
And 2 tactical squads. That's a good chunk of Space Marines to get finished.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, one of the few people I've seen using the Vexillas, using the Legion Standards, which look really good. Yeah, I think I'm going to, again, I've got loads now. I'm not putting them on my White Scars, but I might put them on my Word Bearers. They're a bit more Vexilla.
I probably am going to use those Vexilla bits on mine, actually.
Flags on them. Yeah. Everyone likes a flag. Zarfe Paul has put together some Blood Angels. So they've been doing HQs this month. So it's HQ month. And their Dominion Zephon is on a much smaller rock.
Yeah. Yeah, you can facing forward is really cool. It's got a real Emperor's Champion sort of vibe now.
Yeah, so that's what is that? That's a Dominion Zephon. That's some sort of Cataphracti Praetor with a Mark III helmet. We've got the Chaplain from the Calth box and a Mark III Apothecary, the Forge World Mark III Apothecary with a jump pack there. Not sure who the guy in the back is.
Is he? Oh, what are they called? That must be their special unit though, but I can't think what they're called.
Oh yeah, okay. Is it like a Angel's Tears Sanguinary Guard sort of?
I think it might just be a Praetor with the backpack is from one of the 40k minis.
Yeah. They're looking lovely, though. Really, really nice. I like the very many different sorts of Blood Angel red we get on this. Similar with the Word Bearers coming up next. Nicola has done his Word Bearers, finished building 14 Marines and got them ready for some brushwork. So these are all like part done. They're going to be finished off. But yeah, this is with the brilliant Raptor helmets, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some really great progress on these.
Yeah,
nice mix of armor marks as well.
Yeah, Mark IV, Mark III, Mark II bits in there. Yeah, loads. Yeah,
and a few like spiky Care Space Marine shoulder pads from 40k kits as well.
Yeah,
real mix of backpacks as well. It's like everything.
Yeah,
lovely.
Reminds me of me.
Very dark and spooky looking. And then finally, we have Alexander, yet again Imperial Fists, who has been doing some bits and bobs. Volkite Caliber, first Volkite Caliber squad's done. Got the painting method down pat, so knows how to do that in future. Last of the Beaky squads is built. Moving on to Terminators and Spartans next, and then maybe move on to Contemptors after that. But looking good. Lots of progress there. Some new models built, some conversion parts, and what Bobbie? What is the squad with all the swords? Is that Sword Brethren?
Oh, the Templar Brethren.
Templar Brethren. Yeah. Beautiful. So there we go. Thanks everyone for submitting to the submissions date. If you would like to join in, I should say that you join in by joining the Patreon, which is links in the thing below. There we are. We've all plugged something. Gary, you haven't plugged anything yet.
Sub City Radio. It's very good.
Oh yeah, we've plugged Sub City Radio. There we are. Necromunda podcast. So we've all been plugging things. But yes, if you want to join the Patreon, then we send out submissions usually a week before the end of the month. people email these in, and hopefully that keeps everyone on track. I mean, it's obviously working because people are way more on track than even we are. Everyone's doing better than us.
Yeah, we're like
really.
an example of what to do better than.
Yeah. But yeah, all good. So look, thank you once again for coming back for the latest update. We will see each other. We'll see each other before then, but we'll do this again in a month's time, and we'll see where we are at the end of October. And the month after that, we'll be playing Zone Mortalis with our armies, and Gary will be forced to play this game. See you later, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.